Hello and welcome to another episode of the Why Do I Do It podcast, the podcast where we talk to professional performers about their worst, weirdest and most embarrassing gigs. This week we have got incredible one-liner comedian Mark Simmons. Mark Simmons, as I said, fantastic one-liner comedian. He's got his own podcast as well, Jokes with Mark Simmons. Definitely worth a listen, one of my favourites, and he's just a very funny man. There is an awful lot to get through on this episode. There was a lot of ground to cover. A couple of highlights for me is naked comedy for nudists, we discussed that, and him receiving death threats in Dover, which, to be fair, now that I'm saying it out loud, sounds a bit like an episode for Only Fools and Horses. Yeah, let's just jump in. Oh, before we do, don't forget to subscribe. All of that usual stuff. Hope you're enjoying these. But yeah, sit back and enjoy as we listen to Mark Simmons. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I was expecting like a long intro to the podcast, but I'm guessing you do that separately.
Yep. Seamlessly as well until someone points it out.
I was absolutely not ready for that.
Oh, thank you for coming on and doing this.
No, my pleasure, mate. My pleasure. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Just as a start, can you, for people that may not know you, can you just give a brief history of your career to date?
Oh, crikey. I started comedy about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Open mic scene, kind of didn't know what I was doing and sort of learned as I went. And then just slowly sort of built up paid gigs. And now I got to a point where I'm doing a bit of TV.
So have you got like a career highlight?
I mean, doing Mock the Week was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Because that was the first big thing I did. So that's quite a proud moment. And then sort of I've done a lot of tour support, which I'm just like, I was so lucky the amount I've done. Because when I started comedy, I used to work at the Kent University and there's a theatre called the Gulbenkian Theatre. Mm-hmm. And I always used to go, when you're like a new stand-up, like you just want to get as much stand-up in your head as you possibly can. Just watch everything. I used to go there and watch tour shows of sort of big-ish names, but like Rob Gilbert, before anyone knew who he was just starting to tour. Yeah. That sort of level. And when I'd go and watch and I'd see the newer acts supporting them, I was just like, I really wanted to do that. That was like, at that point, that was my main goal when I was starting. And I've supported some great people. And like I supported Rob Brydon last year to rooms of like 2,000. And that was the first sort of 2,000 seater room I did. That was a big moment. It's just amazing. Totally different gig to normal. You just have to play it totally different.
Did you know that before? Or did you learn that on stage?
Well, I'm kind of lucky that I'd sort of slowly built up the room sizes with the tour supports that I'd done. So I had learned that with the bigger rooms, you need to slow down loads, even slow down enough that you feel like you're going too slow, but the audience doesn't think that.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was just amazing. Loved it.
Oh, cool. Well, that's good. That's all very positive, and I like that. But we drift
no one
away.
Wants to hear about that.
We drift away from positive quite quickly.
You can delete all that.
Yeah. So let's jump straight into it then. Have you got any stories of your worst, weirdest, rowdiest, just any gigs? What's the moments that make you cringe inside?
Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gigs that came to mind of odd. I haven't got many kind of out of control gigs. Like I've seen them, but when I've been on, it was okay. But I've seen, like you said, I've seen some horrendous things of people getting chucked out of gigs. But while I was on stage, the sort of one of the most difficult ones to deal with was in Reading. It was like a normal kind of club night. And this guy just was so drunk. And I'm pretty sure he had a lot of cocaine.
Right.
And early in my set, I did a joke about a garden centre. And for some reason, something got interrupted. I don't think I ever got through the joke. But this guy just got fixated on this. And throughout the entire set, just kept shouting, garden centre, garden centre, garden centre. I want to hear about the garden centre. And I then would do the garden centre joke. Well, I think what the trouble was is a garden centre joke is one of those jokes where there's no finish to the joke. Like, you make the audience think you're going to say something else, and then they realize, oh no, that was the joke. So the joke is, I used to work in a garden centre. This guy asked me what water feature he should buy, and I was like, well...
Very nice. Yeah.
So I think in his state, he was just thinking, well, he hasn't finished that joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then just constantly kept asking for it and asking for it and asking for it. But the trouble was, he wasn't horrible. Like, you could tell there was like love in him. Like, garden centre. I just want to know about the garden centre. So you can't go in aggressive. What I've learned, you can't go in aggressive at someone like that because it just seems mean.
Yeah.
But he's also being disruptive. And like, luckily I do one-liners. I can imagine if you did stories and you're building up a rhythm and momentum and someone keeps interrupting, that's a nightmare. But I can just stop and then do another one.
Yeah.
And then it's actually on YouTube. Luckily it was filmed. And,
okay.
And it's up there, just all cut together. And at the end, he said something about, go on, Mark, tell us about the garden centre. And then I just made a comment. I was like, oh my God, he remembered my name. Like, I was just so chuffed that this guy had remembered my name. Like, most people don't ever remember names. Like, I've had jokes which require people to know my name's Mark.
Right.
And then you do the joke and no one laughs because they don't know, because people don't listen. You get an act introduced. Unless you're famous and on TV, people don't really take note of what your name is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was chuffed that he remembered. I don't know.
So after all of that, him remembering your name was beautiful.
Made my day.
So is that like, I don't even know if we can branch that into the category of heckling, but is that like the weirdest heckle you've had?
Well, it is weird just shouting garden centre continuously. Yeah. It is heckling, but it's not like nasty. To be honest, I've never really had many nasty ones, but I try and be nice on stage. So I think it's quite difficult to be mean to someone when they look nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think the most kind of, in retrospect, it's funny, but at the time, it was very powerful heckle.
Right.
I did a gig in fairly early days when I just started doing paid work. And there was this gig in Coventry Showcase Cinema. So it was in a cinema, but it was turned into a gig every Saturday night, I think. And it was notoriously tough.
Right.
It's just like high ceiling, really spread out. And the people of Coventry sometimes, like, they're more like impress us rather than let's just have a good time. Or in this gig anyway. And I was okay, but it was that point where I was doing 20s, but I had probably 17.
Okay.
And if anything deviated, I've got nothing else. So it's those gigs where I used to get more nervous about those ones than I would do now, because I've got so many more jokes. But I was dying from the start, like just no reaction from anything. And this one guy kept heckling, just informing me every time an audience member left the room.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's another one gone. Yeah, two this time. I think there are a couple. Like, just constantly. And there's nothing you can do, because if someone's heckling you and the gig's going well and the audience like you, that's so easy to deal with because they're on your side. But if they think you're shit and they want you to leave, and then someone heckles you, you can't win, because it's very difficult to get them back on side.
Yeah. Because
they don't like you anyway. So that, like, now, that's I hadn't even written that one down. I just remembered it. But that's one of my favorite, like, I think that's really funny.
Where was he sat? Like, where was he sat in the room?
Weirdly, I remember just to the left. That's all I remember.
Okay.
It's coming from the left. Yeah. Just sort of midway. I think it's just enough room where he could turn to the room and go, yeah, it's another one.
Yeah. You see, that's less harmful. But if he was sat in the front row, continually checking if people were going, that's almost a bit more nasty.
Encouraging them to leave.
Yeah.
Get on. It worked.
So did you remember? I don't know if I should ask this. Do you remember how many left in the end?
I mean, quite a lot. I think I just go to the toilet and go and get drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
just because nothing was happening. I was talking, but there was no engagement at all. But everyone was talking amongst themselves. So weird. So that really sort of, I was a bit nervous about that gig from then on. But weirdly, after that, the promoter still kept booking me, which was weird. Like I wouldn't have booked me after that. But after that, I think I had more of a I don't give a shit kind of attitude to it. And I always had nice ones after that.
Yeah.
But I think that's the trouble. I think as a new act, when you're really trying hard, they can tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a big lesson I learned in the early days was I died at the beginning of this. Can you tell people that I have had good gigs?
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for the listeners' benefit, Mark is an incredible comedian. We'll add some links.
So it was a Jongleurs, and I died on my ass. It was like a tryout 10-minute.
Okay.
And it was in Camden, it was tough at times. And what I did was I sort of walked up stage, so keen to work. I took the mic out stand, just spoke straight away, probably too fast. And then I died. And then Ian Stone, who's a brilliant actor, has been for years, he was on after me. And it was tough because I killed the room dead. Like, there was no energy in the room at all. And he came on after. And he walked on and he slowly walked past the mic, put his drink down over there, slowly walked back, took the thing out, really casual, like he'd done it a million times. And everybody was like, "Oh, this guy knows what he's doing." Yeah. And I've really learned from that. Just don't. I have this thing in my head. Well, before I go on now, I don't care. In my head, I'm like, I don't care. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Obviously, I do.
Yeah.
But just getting that little mindset of this doesn't matter, and then I just get relaxed, and then you have such better gigs. As soon as you look like you're trying hard, then they can smell it.
I had a similar epiphany moment like that when I did a gig in Bristol somewhere, and it was a very student-based crowd. And I talk a lot about being a dad and having a job and just stuff that. And as soon as I got there, I thought this probably won't go well, and it went really badly. But I really had so much fun with the fact it was going badly.
Oh, really? You've got to that stage now?
I had so much fun with it, and it was the first time I felt like I was doing really bad. And also, like, one of the most fun gigs I've ever done. It was just so much fun.
Did they get on board with you when you were having fun? Or was it... Okay, well, this is interesting because that takes... Usually, well, for me, that took a while to get to that point. But now, I think when you know what you do is good, and then you're saying the same words, you haven't done anything crazy to make the gig go badly, and then it doesn't work. I find that funny now.
Yeah.
I find it amusing. Because it's crazy. I've just said these words at another gig. Like that can happen with a double. You go and smash a gig and then come to another one, and then there's nothing. There's no engagement. They've had a terrible night all night. So no matter what, they've just already made their mind up. This is a crap night.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, you just want to shake them and say, I just said these words to 200 people around the corner, and they loved it. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I found that makes it worse.
Have you tried that? Have you?
I probably, not recently, but probably in desperation over the years. Because how do you learn that doesn't work? You try it and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So best not mention it. Just look like you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so what's you said you had about 6. And we've added in the Coventry announcer. So
I've got some points. So I can tell you anyone you want. So these are the notes, the headers. Nudist.
Yeah.
Dover local gig.
Yeah.
Tinder date. Cancer charity. Charity. Heckled by a blind man.
I
mean, they're all clickbait, mate.
They all sound juicy.
I mean, I could talk about all of them. I don't mind. They might not take too long.
Well, go. Let's jump in at Nudist then.
Nudist.
And see what happens.
So this isn't a horrible gig. This comes under weird gig.
Okay.
So I got booked for a Nudist gig, and it was like a nudist society, and they'd rented a comedy club out in London. So that's all I knew, really. And I was like, I don't have to be naked. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Like,
that was going to be my first question. Did you have to? Yeah.
No.
Would you have done if they had asked? Would you have? You wouldn't have.
No. So I wouldn't do a gig when I'm nude, because we were talking about it on the night with the other acts. It's like being on stage, you've got to have a certain power over the audience, and you just lose in that instantly because you're naked. Because they might be naked as well, but they are all looking at you naked. Like, so you're the weak one in that situation.
But
sort of
if it was a regular night and you came out naked, that would show a lot of balls. Well, in two respects.
Standard number.
Yeah, it's standard.
So,
I don't know. Would you? Would you? Because I would see it as.
So I've been offered. Weirdly, I've never been offered nudist gigs. Right, I did this one, and unrelated to this one, I've been offered 2 other nudist gigs. I've had emails. One was a wedding, and one was something else. But they specified you had to be naked as well. So, also on top of that, like I started doing a little bit of TV, and you can't have a video leaking of you doing a naked gig. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just. Can you imagine Michael McIntyre, like a leaked video of Michael McIntyre from his early days, just start bollock naked,
skipping around the stage,
hitting himself in the head. I'd be very nice to Michael there.
Yeah, I think he'll like
that. So that was a weird gig. So for a few reasons. So what happened was I turned up at the pub, and there's a normal pub downstairs, normal, everything was happening like normal. And then there was a set of stairs, and there's a security guard on the stairs stopping anyone going up. Obviously, for both reasons, like the people at Naked don't want normal people, but that's not nice. Well, I think I could say normal.
Yeah, the norms.
I think that is normal. It's normal to wear clothes, isn't it? I can say normal. Cool.
Yeah. There's no laws against wearing clothes in public, is there?
No, exactly. So security guard, and he was like, "Oh, you can't go up." I was like, "Oh, I'm one of the acts." So he let me up, and then the woman organising it came out of the room, and then she was quite like, "Are you okay? Is this all right? Are you going to be? Are you okay? Do you want me to ease you into this?" I don't know if she meant she starts sort of showing a bit of boob just to sort of warm me up. But I was totally I didn't care if they were naked. That didn't bother me. I guess some people might be a bit freaked out by that, but if you are, then you wouldn't do the gig, would you?
Yeah.
So anyway, I walked in this room, and the thing, no disrespect with this at all, but the thing I wasn't ready for was the smell.
There was a smell.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but now I think about it, of course there was. There's all these 100 naked bodies with no clothes stopping any odour. And they're all sweating. They're all together. It's all mixing up. Of course there's a smell. So is that kind of, I can still smell it. But it wasn't awful. It was just unusual. And then they're all just naked, sitting down, watching the compere, I think. No, the first act was on when I got there. And I went and stood by the side. And it's odd when you first walk in. You just got sort of acclimatized to it. And then, that was it. My girlfriend she either had the idea, or it was her, she had a pinny with a naked body. You know, like the classic naked body, like a man's naked body on a pinny.
Yeah, like a barbecue apron and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I wore that on stage, and that got a big reaction. So that was a really good start.
Yeah.
So I had to sort of write a few jokes sort of to, for the first bit. So I said something about the fact that normally when you're nervous, you imagine the audience naked or something like that. And then because it doesn't make sense, does it? Because you'd be more nervous about this gig when the audience are naked. And then what I noticed was when I tell jokes or if I'm thinking, I always look down to my left, which I never knew I did.
Right.
And I kept clocking this guy's dick. And then just doing a real sort of casual sort of look away, like I hadn't done it. But it was so strange. But the weirdest thing was after the gig, it went great. It was really good. And after the gig, people, if you have a good gig, audience members come up to you and they're like, "Oh, that's great," and start having a chat with you. These naked people that keep coming up and talk to me like it was totally normal that they were naked. And I thought, it's very, very strange, but really nice people.
Yeah.
That was weird. It was weird. I'd do it again, though.
You would?
Yeah, 100%. I'll do a tour. I'll do a naked tour.
A naked tour. Jamie Oliver did it, didn't he? The Naked Chef. Don't know if he was actually naked.
I thought you said a penny, didn't
he? Yeah. I don't know where to start with that one, really, because that's so odd, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I've also learned that nudist weddings happen, which, again,
yes,
they must do, but I never thought about it long enough.
No.
I once did, when I was probably too young to do so, I once got asked by the Devon Art Society to do live modelling for them.
Oh, did you?
So I sat completely nude in a church hall with no heaters in the middle of November.
Of course they weren't, mate. Of course they weren't.
Yeah.
Whilst the heaters weren't working.
Whilst about 30 odd, 60 plus people painted me.
Wow.
Which
did you get a good reaction?
I wasn't looking at their reaction.
Are you naked when they arrive?
No,
you undress for them.
Yeah, it's not a seductive thing, but like I was in I think I was in one of the like confession booth thingies actually, and I got undressed and then put like a robe on, and then came out, and then they're all sat at their easels looking whilst I had to derobe and get in this weird position.
There's loads of paintings of you.
Well, there was one. It was a local art show, and it was up there for months, and all my family and extended family went and looked.
I think people walk past it and go, "Oh, that's a nice piece."
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they do. So, right, okay,
I got asked to be in a porn once.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was at university, there was someone I knew did them, and they were looking for people, but I said no, I didn't fancy it.
Was that prior to comedy?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was for the same reasons as the nudist thing, in case the footage showed up.
I don't know. I think back then I probably just wasn't experienced enough in that realm to even consider being an expert in the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, now if anyone's up for it, I'll do it. But
yeah,
back then, no.
You don't go on Top Gear with pass plates on your car, do you? I suppose it's the same. So what was the next one after nudist then? What was it? We had I remember Blind Heckler, but I can't remember the second one.
So there's been a couple. So the charity gigs you'd think would be nice, but a lot of the time they're really horrible. And I guess most of the time they're not expecting comedy, or they're not there for comedy. They're not there because they love comedy. They're there to support a charity, and there's comedy on. So if people aren't really into comedy, they're sort of stuck there with you, and you're just an annoyance to them. So the charity, the blind man one was a charity dinner, and I was very new. So there was just someone locally that I did work for, and he said, "Do you want to come and do a set just at this charity dinner?" So I turned up, and it was a nice sort of meal. I think it was like a curry or something. And then he said, "Okay, you're up." And I stood up, not raised or anything, just along at a table.
Yeah.
And no one was expecting comedy. And on top of that, I was very new, so I wasn't very good. At the time, I probably thought I was, but I wasn't.
Right.
And it wasn't going very well. And then this blind man just kept so blatantly rude, just going, "This is shit. This is awful. What are you doing? Stop," like that. And I've never had, because I've grown up, I was brought up, wow. I was always told, be nice to blind people. Or anybody that's got a disability, be nice to them. Yeah. And you don't ever think that, of course a blind man can be an arsehole. Anyone could be an arsehole. I don't know why at the time, before that, I just didn't ever consider they could be. And it's so difficult to deal with. How do you deal with a heckler that's blind? I mean, you can't go for that as an angle.
No, you can't. You can't.
So also, this is a gig I learned a lot from. I wasn't funny. in the put down. All I just told him how rude he was. Like, just put it out there. Just really had a go at him for how rude he was, and it made the gig really awkward. and then I said, "Don't worry, I'll pull this back in a minute." And after a minute, I was like, "I can't. It's not going to work." So I just had to sit down and carry on with it was one of the worst experiences. But I learned from that not to react to anything. Just let it wash over you, whatever happens, and look like you're enjoying it. Like, you have to. You can't. That was so unprofessional, and I've never done anything like that since. I mean, I always feel hecklers like I never go aggressive with any heckler now, no matter what they do.
Yeah,
I always try to be nice, because if you're nice, everyone else will be more on your side, and then it highlights how horrible that person is.
Yeah, very disarming, isn't it? Just coming in at a nice angle.
But not many people do that. It's quite an unusual way of dealing with hecklers, I find. But it works for my style and how I am.
Yeah. So that is exceptionally rude, though.
Really horrible.
Yeah.
Really horrible. And then the other charity one. Oh, you got more you want to talk about that?
No. Go on. What's the next one?
So the other charity one, this was just bad structure of the night. So I was doing it's some sort of cancer charity in London. I turned up and no seated, so everyone's standing in a busy pub drinking. This woman goes on and does a PowerPoint presentation about cancer and about specific people that it's affected. And my God, it was like really upsetting.
Yeah.
And as soon as she stopped that video, she said, "Right, now for some comedy."
Oh my God.
Here's your act, Mark Simmons. And I walk on after that. And like, normally, if something weird happens before you come on, you'd address it. How do you address? I probably said something like, I can't even remember what I did. And that, again, it was back quite a few years ago. So not only was the gig set up terribly, so there's no seats. So as soon as it wasn't going well, which it was never going to go well.
No.
They just started turning with each other in their own little circles, drinking, talking. And I was literally performing 20 minutes to just people having a chat to each other. Nobody listening. Yeah. But you learn from these things.
I like to think they've learned something from that as well.
No, I bet they didn't. I bet they just thought, who put this guy?
Yeah.
I bet that's what people think. They don't understand.
Nothing about that.
I didn't have a go at anyone though. I was very professional. That happened after the first charity one.
Good. Probably the only thing that could have made that slightly worse is if you had a go at someone there. Oh, I'm loving these.
Are they all right?
Yeah, these are great.
Up your street.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the thing is, I'm sure there's loads more as well, but it's weird. You just sort of don't think about it because they all just roll into one after a little while.
Yeah.
And they come to you. There's two more here. Do you want me to do the last two?
Yeah, please.
So Dover local gig. Most of these are really early days gigs because you don't know how to deal with things when you start because it always happens for the first time. But now, if these things happened, I'd know what to do and what not to do.
Yeah,
so that's part of the fun, I think, when you're starting. Gig in Dover, local to where I live, not too far. Not from Dover, but fairly close. It was it's a pub open mic gig, but they were doing comedy. And I went there one week. And I absolutely destroyed it. It went really well. So they asked me back the next week. So I went back the next week and I was comparing. That was it. They asked me to come and compare. And I thought, that's all right. That's a bit different. Because I hadn't got that much material at that point. But I thought, it went so well the first time. I was like, I'll just be able to chat to them. It'll go great.
Yeah.
It did not go well. And I don't know.
Were you comparing the first week?
No.
So the first week was a set, and then the second week there was the compare. Right. Okay.
Yeah. And it was one of those pub gigs that when you walk in, it's so busy and it's so lively, and there lots of dodgy. And also I didn't know at the time this is a dodgy, renowned pub. Like it's lots not nice people. And I think the first time I just rode this wave of luck. That they were just on board. I'd said something that they liked and they just went with me for the whole thing. But I did not have that on the second one.
Right.
And so it's going badly. And then there's a little bit of chatter and sort of heckling from it's always the left. I don't know why it's always the left. From over on the left. And there was these guys sort of sitting up on the wall, like on a shelf or the windowsill. I can't remember really. But they're dodgy looking. And my girlfriend at the time, and I think my best mate was there. And they were sort of standing at the side of the bar just in front of these people. So they were giving me shit. And I was trying to deal with it. But it's one of those and that was in the days where I didn't know to be nice. So I've seen Jimmy Carr deal heckles. You call them do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I'm doing that, but I'm just in a local pub and I'm having a go at these really dodgy thugs. And it's not like a security like at a normal comedy club or, do you know what I mean? There's no protection. And then my girlfriend at the time just went at them angry. So, which is the worst thing she could have done.
Yeah.
But she obviously protective, you know, maybe embarrassed probably.
Did she make it known that she was your girlfriend, or to them was she just a random?
I think it might have been obvious.
Right. Okay.
I mean, no girl in that pub was going to defend me unless they're my girlfriend.
Right. Okay.
So she was doing that, but obviously they can't punch her. They can't stab her. But what they can do is punch or stab her boyfriend, who they already don't like.
Is that what they did?
No.
Oh.
But they threatened it, like proper threats. So what happened was I introduced the next act. And as he came on, I handed the baton and all I said was, "I'm so sorry." And I just angled her and we just straight out the pub in the car off halfway through the gig.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I had to get out there. It was that proper dangerous.
Yeah.
Really, I'm quite good. Like I grew up with sort of doing martial arts all my life, and I'm good at reading a situation, and it was done. One, the gig was done, and two, I was probably going to die. So I did that, but I'm still. So that was one of the first times I've met that act, and to this day, we're like best friends.
Oh,
like,
really?
After that sort of bonded us, I think. Yeah, but that was quite an experience. And then, you got any questions about that one?
No, I mean it's no.
I didn't know I had so many, to be honest. When you said weird gigs, I thought I can't really think of any. But yeah, I've got loads of weird ones.
We do normally flesh out a few more as we're going through as well.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. Which we've done, which is good. This has proved it.
Oh, good. So the other one was Tinder date. So this was around the time when I was single. And what happens when you're a comic and you're on Tinder and those sort of things, you're traveling around the country, but your phone's always on. So you start matching with people everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you start talking. And if you like one, you're like, oh, but they live in Guildford and I'm in Kent or something. Do you know what I mean? So, So any opportunity to sort of meet them, you sort of try to take. So I went to a gig and it happened to be near where this person lived. So I invited her, thinking normally the guy that runs these gigs, they're normally great, like really busy. And I thought, oh, that'll be good. Show off a bit, make everybody laugh. So I love that. Turned up and there were 10 people in the audience. So instantly, one, the gig isn't going to go great to be impressive, but also that's how many people I draw to a gig. Or not even me, 4 acts draw to gigs. So what's that? I've drawn 2 of them. Yeah. I mean, I haven't drawn any except this one girl. And like instantly when I met her, first time I met her, I was like, I regret it instantly. We didn't click. It just didn't feel right. And then she came to the gig, and then when I came on stage, she started heckling.
What, your date did?
People, yeah. And I swear she thought she was trying to help, but she just kept heckling and heckling. And I can't even remember. How do you do that? How do you do a heckle put down to your date?
Was she heckling you as well?
No, just me.
Oh, only you, not all of the acts?
I don't think she heckled anyone else.
Oh, that's so weird.
I think after I'd finished, we left, and then we left.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's so
and then,
weird.
But and all the acts were like, because I'd introduced her to them at the beginning because I had to, because I was I couldn't, and then I think they thought she was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then, so next time I saw them, the other acts, they were like, your girlfriend's a bit. I'm like, no, that's the first time I met her. So stupid. Never again.
I don't, how on earth did she think that was like,
Maybe she just felt really awkward.
But the logic behind her shouting stuff out.
I think she wanted to impress me, and if she was being funny, I don't know if she's trying to compete with me. I don't know.
No.
Maybe she's negging. I mean, that is probably the most negging you could be.
It really is.
Like, you're shit at your job. I don't think she ever said that, but she did keep jumping in.
I'm going to say it's like even worse if she matches with someone that works at Argos or something and she tries the same tactic. Honestly, there is a lot to go through here.
Yeah.
What can you remember the Tinder date's name? Like not full name, but just first name. I've got a feeling it's going to be like Tiffany or something.
Yeah. Is that bad that I can't?
No. Will she be listening to this?
I mean, it's a while ago. I doubt it.
If she does listen, she'll let us know in the comments, won't she?
She may be so, like, she might not even know it's about her. Do you know what I mean? Like, she probably didn't think it was weird what she did. I can't remember. Honestly, can't remember.
That's fine. I like to say, I'm sure she'll make herself known if she does remember, and then I'll let you know. And we can try it again. We'll have another podcast with you and her, and we'll discuss that one story. That's a nice idea. Okay, so there is a lot to go through. I've made notes as we've gone through, and what we do at the end now is I score you. So it's a collective score out of 15. Okay,
right.
And I score you on 3 points, which is the story's cringeworthiness.
Yeah.
Mental scars. And how it's changed you as a person.
Okay.
Now, cringeworthy, I mean, I've got to focus on the nudist one here quite a lot because if your natural reaction is to just keep looking down and there he is it?
It's a good one as well.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I'm going to say, that can't help when you're trying to think on your feet. So, I mean, in terms of, they're all pretty cringeworthy. And Tinder date, I mean, Tiffany's Tinder date, that is very cringy. But I don't know if it's more cringy for you or for her. But
definitely both.
Yeah, but I agree that she's probably unaware as to how.
Yeah, she didn't know
how weird.
Because you wouldn't do it, would you? If you're self-aware, you wouldn't do that.
No. So I mean, I'm giving you a 5 out of 5 for cringeworthiness. Yes. Mental scars. I mean, you've mentioned that you just laugh things off now and it's done and it's gone.
It have changed me. Every bad gig has made me know how to deal with that situation in the future.
Oh, okay. So it's changed you, but in like a positive way. You've learned from it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 100%. Okay.
But not like, I don't have nightmares about, I'm quite thick-skinned, so I don't really, something might bother me for a couple of days and then it's gone.
Well, that definitely answers the mental scars then. So, I mean, that's got to be a 1 out of 5.
Damn.
That's a 1 out of 5 for that.
But what do we win? Is it a running score across all the show?
Yeah, we've discussed. We're going to edit in
I just thought myself out of a high score.
We're going to have a Top Gear leaderboard. So so all of the comedians are going to be there.
So you want the comedians to be as scarred as possible?
Well, no, we don't know whether 15 is good or if 0 is good.
Okay.
We haven't figured that out yet. So I mean, so at the minute you're very mid-level, and we don't know if. I mean, that's probably the safest place to be. And how it's changed you as a person. I mean, you've just said you've learned something from every gig. So I mean, that's got to be another 5. So all in all, you got a solid 11 out of 15.
I'm happy with that.
You're happy, yeah? You feel good?
I didn't even know there was a score. So I mean, I'm over the moon.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, when we figure out what it means, we'll let you know, and we'll send you some sort of prize.
What have other people got so far?
Oh, off the top of my head, let's have a look. Jake Lambert got 12 out of 15.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know what order we're releasing these in, so I probably can't.
I
probably can't give them all away. But what I can do is tell you
can edit this out.
Somebody got a 5 out of 5 on how it changed him as a person as well.
Oh, really?
So that's that's
high five to them.
I don't know what that means, but there we go. Maybe she can come to a gig and heckle you.
Aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, this is great. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm baffled by some of the experiences that you've had.
That's the life of a comic. That's what makes the job great, because you just, every time you turn up, you do not know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and doing it. Before we go, is there anything you want to push? Anything you want to plug?
Podcast lovers, obviously, listening to this, I've got a podcast called Jokes with Mark Simmons, where I chat to another comedian about jokes they can't get to work. Lots of joke theory and maybe a little bit of bad gig stuff, but a lot of focus on the jokes.
Very good.
And I'm on social media at Jokes with Mark across all socials.
There we go. As a big fan of the podcast and of your stand-up, I cannot recommend both of those things enough. So yeah, make sure you do all of that. But yeah, thank you, Mark, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Bye.